so maybe I should go back to being Father Damien.
You become a father.
Yeah, I'm living proof that no form of birth control is 100% effective.
Me too. Good. That's another thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fucked up. Can you describe to the people who are here what kind of music?
I think like we started as like, you know, a punk band, but we were right from the get-go really interested in international punk rock and DIY culture, you know, like, you know, bands from Holland like the Nitwits and you know, even like a band.
Familiar with that?
Oh, absolutely, like X and Workbench and all the bands like come right into the spectrum. And so right from the get-go, we knew we didn't want to be just like a straight-up generic hardcore band. We loved 7 inches, we loved vinyl, and so we started.
You released loads of them.
Yeah, I think we've got like close to 50 now. 57 inches, 4 LPs, 57 inches, 4 12 inches. 6 tapes and 2 8-tracks and a reel-to-reel.
And for how long have you been?
We've been together about 8 years now. 8 or 9 years.
50 singles in 8 years.
Yeah, it's just like we're a band of record collectors. Like we were just like enamored with the idea of vinyl and putting out vinyl, and as such, we wanted to like. You know, the best way as a record collector to build your record collection is to put out your own record. And I think the format of 7 inches is just like so perfect for pop music, you know, and punk rock and hardcore is a form of pop music. So, you know, you have 3 minutes per side, and you know you can flip it over and you can express an idea and stuff. I just think it just aesthetically.
I think it's the best form to release music, but it seems to be disappearing.
Well, it's disappearing. I think it's kind of on a slight comeback right now.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you're right, because I think people now, it's funny because you look at music, and originally it was about writing 7 inches in singles, like back in the 50s. And then it became about writing albums, and sort of that reached its sort of peak in the double albums of the late 70s, and then you know, and then it came kind of back to the 7-inch through the punk era, and then back to the album. And now it's not even about writing singles anymore. It's about writing ringtones. Yeah. You want to write one catchy chorus, and then you're done. You know, you want to write just a hook so someone can download it to their cell phone, and you know they can hear like the Laffy Taffy song or the Ketchup song or you know, or whatever that Crazy Frog.
Yeah, but being a musician yourself, what music did you grow up to?
I grew up, like I suppose when I was really young, my dad, you know, just because of the time I was growing up in, which is the early to mid 80s, you know, it was a lot of Ian Dury, Badness, things like that, and then stiff record stuff, and you know, early punk stuff, but you know, more of the new wavy thing that my dad was playing me. And then my dad moved away, and I got really into rap music. The first tape I bought was Run DMC, Raising Hell, and the Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. And then, you know, I kind of kept going and doing, and got into worse and worse music, kind of bottoming out with the Grateful Dead, who I now actually have come to like again, but at the time it was really embarrassing. Like when I first got into punk, I was like, I can't believe I like the Grateful Dead.
But did you always want to be in the band yourself?
I've always played in bands, but I have no musical ability. Like I have no,
You didn't try to play the Grateful Dead songs?
No. And when I found about punk, and like when I started hearing bands where it was like, you know, like they were like, well, you just do it, you know, you worry about being able to do it later, you just try it first. And so I started playing in bands in high school, and I think I was in like 10 or 15 bands in high school. And then, you know, and then sort of later on I started finding out about, you know, DIY punk, and just became more and more immersed in the culture, and to the point where it's like, you know, to the point where it's now, it's like all I think about is records.
Yeah.
I dream about records that don't exist. I dream about walking to a record store and finding a rare 7-inch that no one else knew about.
You're still looking for things when you come here, for instance?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. Like all on that Killed by Epitaph compilation of rare Dutch punk. There's tons of singles on there I want to get still. Okay. You know, there's just so many bands. Like that was the thing about that era in music, is there's just so much stuff that came out. Like so much wonderful. Yeah. Like so many bands were writing great songs that just never went anywhere. So you can like, there's so many great undiscovered records, you know, and that's also 60s stuff, garage stuff too. And it's like, and so there's so much out there.
And where did your taste or interest in hardcore music? mean.
Yeah, it kind of came later. It was like one of those things where I got into punk. You know, I was into pop punk because I was a kid at the time, and then, you know, as it kind of progressed, I wanted something harder and heavier. You know, and hardcore was kind of the answer to that. You know, I also was
there a scene in Toronto?
There was. It was really small. Okay. It was mainly actually by the time when I was getting into hardcore, it all moved to the suburbs. Like, and I grew up in downtown, and I don't know how to drive, so it was really hard for me to get to shows in the suburbs. And there's bands like Braid, who, if you don't know them, they invented Screamo. So if you want to kill someone, you probably want to kill Braid. But they're a band from my area, and they, you know, like it was a really suburban scene. And then this band called No Warning came in Toronto and kind of brought it all back downtown. Because all the kids were from the suburbs started wanting to come downtown and see shows. And there was like an older drunk punk scene, but, you know.
We're talking about the early 90s then?
Yeah, early 90s, yeah. And there was an older drunk punk scene, but like, you know, we were kids that didn't drink, so we didn't really fit into their scene. So we kind of built our own scene when No Warning came around. And we kind of like started doing our own shows. We had a record store that we did shows at in the basement. And that was like kind of just where we built it up from. Like, you know, and that's not to say we didn't have help from the older scene, but you know, I really think it was the kids kind of being like, we want this to happen. And now the shows in Toronto are great, but for a long time I can remember Mike and I, who fucked up with me, we had another band called Don Louis, and we played a show. We brought some band up from Florida, and we played a show, and there were 2 kids that paid to go see the show. So including bands and the 2 kids, there were 10 people at the show.
Okay.
It was an amazing experience.
You're still into, I mean, listening to the records, hardcore is still the main thing, punk rock or...
For me, you know, like Mike is into techno and like electronic music.
There are some indie elements as well.
You know, like Jonah, our drummer's really into 60s, you know, obscure garage stuff, and you know, and so it's like, it's all in there, you know, but like, I don't know, I think I'm limited so much by my vocal styles that we're always going to be a hardcore band. Maybe if I could sing, we'd sell out more.
But there's also kind of, when you see perform on stage, it's a very physical thing as well.
Yeah. Well, because I want it to be entertaining, you know, like I don't want anyone to walk away like I wasted my time and money coming to see this band, you know, like they might not like what we're doing, but I want them to walk away with a memory. You know,
you don't want to sit still and
well, like, and people can sit still, but I'm going to come stand with them. You know, like it's like I don't ever want anyone to be scared. You know, like that's I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a violent band. I don't want to be a scary band. But I want it to be exciting. You know, and I want it to be kind of like have an air of danger. You know, it's not actually dangerous because I'm a giant teddy bear, but I want it to be like kind of like I want people to like be like, whoa, that was weird. You know, and even if they don't like the band, even if they're like, oh, that music sucked, they're like, they did weird stuff on stage. They were a weird band.
But they won't forget you.
Yeah, they won't forget it. They won't forget it. Even if they hate it, they won't forget it. And that's like, you know, like so much music, like, and you know, a lot of indie stuff I find like this is just like, you walk away like, oh, that was okay. You know, I don't want anyone to say that was okay. You know, I want them to be like, oh, that was wicked or that was terrible. You know, because like, nothing's more boring than middle of the road, you know. Like
you with the band, you won this the national award.
Yeah, the Polaris Award.
Yeah. Well, does it mean anything specific for you?
It means like it's a huge honor, you know. Like it's you know it's a bunch of people who are paid to listen to music deciding that you made the best record of last year, you know. And it's from that perspective, it's a huge honor. I don't think it changes very much for us. Like I think of another band that was a little more palatable musically, or didn't have a swear word for a name, they probably would have been able to capitalize on it a lot more than us. But that being said, like you know, like it has been a great opportunity because we're now doing this benefit record for the 500 missing Aboriginal, 500 missing and murdered Aboriginal.
Yeah, do they know it's Christmas? You don't
we covered it, and we got you know, and so running to a bunch of celebrities being like, we just won the Polaris Awards. They all.
Okay, can you tell me, is it already recorded?
Yeah, it's almost done. It's almost done.